You do want to move your applications from the third platform over to the second. Why would you do that? Well, if you run a huge analytic job that runs for a month and you generate some mission-critical results, you found the needle in the haystack that you were looking for, you want to store that on your mission-critical infrastructure. You don't want to store that on the Hadoop file system. So the final piece is, what's the technology for moving about data and applications back and forth to each other? And I encourage the data center team here to work with our Cork team, who do a lot of optical networking and back-end networking between storage systems. They've actually done an experiment where they took VMware Nicira, software-defined networking technology, and they carved up the bandwidth between storage systems. Most people think of SDN as running up at the server tier, right? But they actually took in between storage systems, carved up the bandwidth, and then through APIs, software-defined, they increased the amount of data that vPlex could use to move data from one data center to another. They scheduled the move, and then they took the bandwidth away. So again, vPlex, Nicira, Viper, showing the customer, we have you covered when you look at the data volumes, the best way to transfer it, and the best way to do that using software-defined techniques. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of the fire hose. I'm turning the hydrant off, and I think we have some time for questions.
Steve, how much of the architecture that you described is available today versus under development?
So I would say a good deal is available today, right? You can buy GemFire on top of HDFS today. You can purchase server-based storage, vSAN or Scale.io today. You can, the tiering is, I would say, a little bit further behind, but point products support a lot of that tiering. Viper is available today, and as I mentioned, Project Nile, shipping of kind of a software catalog on commodity storage. VMware is right in the middle of working with the storage teams on the best way of placing server, network, and storage. So I wouldn't say we're there yet. Probably some of the more interesting technical arguments you could sit in on between the VMware and the storage team about the best way to implement that. And then everything I shared about with Pivotal, that's all not even forward-looking, right? That's all available today. Simplicity is available today. So I'm really selling our product line, right? Wrapping a vision about the third platform and say, you should buy all your stuff from us, right? We've got you covered from the mobile device all the way down to the bits on the storage system. And we have more work to do on software-defined data center, right? And understanding the personalities of applications and what hardware that it should sit on. I'd say that's where we need the most help. And one of the reasons I'm excited to come here, right? Because out of all the groups at EMC, I think the adaptivity team, being North Carolina based, could come in here and give you an analysis of what they think of the applications and the infrastructure that you're running, and move you towards what they call this IT maturity model, where every application is balanced on the perfectly correct infrastructure underneath.
So it seems to me we're kind of in an intermediate stage right here between the second platform and the third platform. But if you look out into the future, I see two inexorable forces going on that are going to drive things. That's Moore's Law and the reduction in the cost of IOPS through flash. And what you end up with, like I have a customer that has 18 petabytes of MongoDB data, the third platform stuff. They don't back it up. It's impossible. It's not replicated because it's geographically distributed by virtue of the Mongo layer itself. So what do you end up with? You know, it's not going to be stored on a storage array. It's going to be stored in some type of a converged platform. Fortunately, we have one of those, Scale.io, which is what I'm attempting to sell the customer. But looking out, it looks to me like the storage array may eventually become a dead tech, and we may converge into some type of converged infrastructure where everything is server-based, at least if that's the model. Do you see that, or how do you see the future of the storage array technology itself playing out as we evolve out into the distant future?
So if I answer the question in the context of a customer trying to run their business, right, not all of their applications are going to require a MongoDB type of approach. So they're still going to have all sorts of front office and back office needs that traditional IT infrastructure can handle. For your particular example, I think you're right that, and that's where DSSD, I believe, is going to play a big role. So the main problem that I believe we acquired DSSD is these massive in-memory databases. If they have to spill over onto a disk array, they have to go through this protocol transformation. So they have to take that buffer, right, and then they have to copy it somewhere and turn it into a SCSI command and send it over some sort of bus and then unpack it again and then move it down to the disk. And I believe what DSSD can do is eliminate that protocol conversion, and storage starts to look like an extension of memory, right? So now you can take a DSSD solid state, quote, array and access it as though it's way down there on the memory bus, and thus saving all of that protocol conversion time. So I think if you talk about converged infrastructure, you could have, one of the things you're talking about in hardware engineering right now is building enclosures where you could plug in something like a DSSD, or you could plug in something like a traditional memory network storage spinning disk or solid state, and have these flexible pools of hardware that you can pop in based on what the business needs. So I think that's the answer there. And I also see the price of solid state and disk kind of dropping at the same rate right now, which means customers will still be buying that spinning disk for the foreseeable future. And then the final answer I would say is, look at mainframe, right? If you're talking first platform, EMC just hired a couple dozen engineers to solve some new mainframe problems, right? And because we see that market, there's still money to be made based on business applications that need that. So I think, that's the message, is second platform is not going anywhere. It has a very long tail it could be decades, who knows? Well, I think Keith May told me that I had to take a selfie so that he could take a picture of me taking a picture of you behind me or something. So, Keith, let's finish this off, and if you guys could all stand up. You define EMC, so we need to take a picture of that. Using Keith's phone.
Yeah, I will own this. Hold on. Okay, so here we go. Okay.
How is the light going to be behind? So we're going to have everybody come out front.
Okay.
Let's see how it looks.
So, no,
The light is going to
so this is like the Jeremy Burton look. So hold on one second. Give me
Now I know I'm really in marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on a second. All right, now. All right.
Okay.
So we want to say, I'm in. You call it.
1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Was it good?